Good afternoon, my name is Ken Roche. I'm a registered massage therapist of almost 25 years, second degree black belt in Shotokan karate. So I've been doing rehabilitation and physical improvement therapies for a long time. Today I'm going to share some concepts relating to some postural exercises. It's all part of a greater concept called Applied Biomechanical Concepts for Self-Care and Repair. Generally speaking, it's ABCs for scar. Everything heals with scar except for bone, whether it's skin, muscle, ligament, blood vessels, it all heals with scar. So it's a matter of how functional. So skin can heal like this because it takes multiple directional forces, whereas ligaments and tendons, they have to be more uniform and more linear to absorb the forces that they're designed to resist or to transfer. I'm in my home gym, I'm in my home clinic. I want to give you guys a couple of ideas. Remember, it's not the exercise that's going to fix you or anything. Really, it's the concept. That's why they're applied biomechanical concepts, how the joints are shaped, how they should work, how we need to encourage them to work. And then again, they're a concept, but if it's not applied, it means very little to you. So a lot of people will work on a machine like what I've got here. It's like a rowing machine. We work on rowing, but you can be bent over like this with great rhomboids. First of all, if the rhomboids aren't turned on, they're not going to do much for you. Second of all, you can still have poor posture. So we're really talking about the spinal erector muscles, the muscles that erect the spine, paraspinal muscles, if you will. There's multiple of them. We're talking about intrinsic muscles of the spine. So some of them are going to go right from the low back along the spine all the way up. Some are going to be a little bit further out. Some are going to go up along the angle of the ribs. And once they come up over top of here, there's going to be one on the outside, iliocostalis, longissimus, and spinalis as they come up through here, all attaching up into the neck and or out into the back of the skull. You can look them up. They're paraspinal, also known as spinal erector muscles. There's also muscles that are more steep. They go from the spinous processes down and out to the transverse processes. Those are multifidus. You'll notice that in our low back, most of our side bending comes from the low back. In the mid back, they go from the spinous processes on a shallower angle to the transverse process to allow us to have more of our rotation. But collectively, they extend the spine. So it's all spinal extensor muscles. A lot of times when I treat people with an anterior head carriage, there's a shelf here to put tension on. We kind of hang on our ligaments and tendons, and that creates more density. A lot of people say there's scar tissue in through there, and there is, but really it's just the tendon that's become more collagen, it's more dense. So if you think about muscles being like a sausage, you've got the casing that goes from end to end. So don't think of tendons at either end. A tendon goes from end to end. You got the wrapping of each fiber, you got the wrapping of each muscle bundle, and you got the wrapping of the entire muscle, but it goes from end to end. They interdigitate at the end to become each tendon. That wraps around bone and it continues on to be other connective tissue, fascia, multiple layers, whatever you want to think about. It's to transmit and absorb forces. So if you think about muscle being like a sausage, we want to put more meat in the sausage, actin and myosin filaments, as opposed to just relying on the casing or the tendon to absorb the force and transmit the force. So with an anterior head carriage, as the head goes forward, every inch the ear goes forward adds a 10-pound bag of potatoes. You can see they're going to be putting a lot of pressure on the back of the facet joints, which is like, if you think about vertebrae being like a tricycle, we're doing a pop-a wheelie into the back wheels, putting a lot more pressure. Plus, if we turn and we're grinding one vertebrae onto the other, over time it's going to degenerate, especially in that C3, 4, because those tend to be the bones that get moved the most. Down here, C6 and 7, they're going to degenerate differently because they don't get moved at all. A lot of people don't use their shoulder blades effectively either. That's for another day. But it's important that when we're working on one thing, we don't sacrifice another thing. So we're going to be talking about lots of those kind of things as well. But the idea here in your neck is to think about big bones to little bones. So you got to think about chin tuck, get the 7 retracting, 6, 5, 4, 3, then 3, 2, and 1 actually flex. So you're gonna feel like your head's on a tabletop and it's gonna go straight out and straight back. The chin tuck is a primary exercise. Chin tuck, and then later on we're gonna talk about the chin rotation. So if I was to go forward like this and I turn, you'll see the collar of my shirt's gonna cut my face. it's going to cut off part of the space. But if I tuck my chin first and I rotate and think about getting my chin behind the collar, now everything's pushed back. I got the spine in a lot more extension. I'm using the spinal extensor muscles. So primary exercise, chin tuck, rotate. So there's lots of ways to add more resistance, because when I'm standing, this is gravity assisted. I can stand against a wall, put my tailbone, which is structural curvature, mid-back, which is a functional curvature, and my skull, which is a structural curvature against the wall. I prefer to do this in front of a corner because it's more natural as it comes up the center line. You don't feel like you're being pushed forward so much. But starting with your hands on the back, all the way up. Yes, we're going to be working on our rhomboids, some of the retract of the shoulder blade. Once you get to shoulder height, it's important that you start lifting your shoulder blades. Thumbs are up or palms are up. As we come up, shoulder blade should be halfway up when we're reaching halfway up. And as we come all the way up, shoulder blade should go as high as possible. My ceiling's too low, so I may bend my knees, but I still want to make sure my shoulder blades go right to the top. Now, I can touch back and touch the wall, so I can go straight up and down. So I'm going to be using my spinal extensor muscles to pull myself back to the wall in that chin tuck position, lifting the shoulder blades up a little bit, halfway as I go halfway, all the way as I go all the way up, touch the wall, straight down. We can do what they call wall angels just by hitting the hands against the wall and going all the way up and around. You can go up, you can go down, you can go up and down, whatever you feel most comfortable with. You don't need the wall. You can act as if there is a wall, but by bringing your thumbs up, start moving your shoulder blades once you get the shoulder height, halfway up when you're reaching halfway up, but now pushing backwards, always pushing backwards, straight up. In postural exercises and physiotherapy, we will do the English letter I, straight up, shoulder blades as high as they can, out to the letter Y, down to the letter T. Work on the rotation, so really get your pinkies up, thumbs rotating down. This is externally rotating, trying to get your elbows going forward. You can also come along and do the W's. These are also very good postural exercises. If you want to do your arm circles, I do martial arts. As we go forward, protract. Ribs come down, lungs are depressing, air is going out. Good idea to breathe out when your body's getting smaller. Start to breathe in. Here's your English letter I, Y, T, and we're gonna go right around. You can go the other way, same thing here, breathing out because my body's smaller. Start to breathe in as I come back, using the spinal extensors, the chin tuck, coming all the way up. Now this is still somewhat gravity assisted. We can get a little bit more gravity resisted by using a piece of equipment like this is an incline bench. So if I laid on an incline bench, it could be a flat bench, doesn't really matter. Excuse me for a second, everything's pretty tight in here, but it all works. So I just change the angle a little bit, still do the chin tuck with the letter I, shoulders as high as I can. My body doesn't know if I'm reaching for the sky or if I'm reaching across the room. Here's the Y, here's the T, and all the way back. We can do the chin tuck here, chin tuck, rotate to the right, chin tuck, rotate to the left. I'll show you a couple of other ideas once I get into the treatment room. Okay, here we are in the treatment room. You'll see my massage therapy table I've pushed over a little bit. You'll see this is Gromit the guide dog's working station. This is what they mean by working like a dog. How was your day, honey? Oh, it's working like a dog all day. So other ways to get resistance for the chin tuck, rotate. You can lay on your bed. I use the side of the massage table without the head rest. But on your hands and knees, same thing as the flat bench. Tuck your chin straight back, turns your head into a 12 or 14 pound dumbbell. Rotate to the right. Now you can decide to hold this for 6 or 8 seconds. You can hold it for a 30-second, 60-second isometric contraction, or you can go back and forth, isotonically as a range of motion. It's totally up to you how you go about doing it. The idea is that you're using these muscles to extend your spine with a little bit of resistance. Bird dog exercises, fantastic postural stabilizing muscles. You can put one leg straight out the back, hold it for 6 or 8 seconds, go around to the other leg behind you, try to have your tabletop position, neutral spine, turn your stomach on always. You want to use postural muscles all of the time. They are designed to be worked all day, every day, so don't be afraid to have them on all the time. A lot of times people just train their core on core days, and then they put it back in their locker, put it back in their bag until the next core day. So if I want to reach my shoulder up, thumb up, same principle. If I'm reaching as far over my head as I can possibly go, reach the shoulder blade up as far as it'll go. You can hold that for 6 or 8 seconds. Do the other side, 6 or 8 seconds. Also tuck the chin always. When you're working on one thing, you're working on many, many things. You can also choose to use opposite side. This is when you start to really use your stabilizer muscles to stabilize, to avoid this kind of wobble. It's okay to wobble, but it's better if you don't. Now here, shoulder blade as far towards your hand as possible. Your hand as far away from the foot. Use your stomach muscles all the time, 6 or 8 seconds. These are great. They can be done on a ball, which adds a little bit of instability, but not as much as on 2 points of contact. Last thing I'm going to show you today, we talked about doing it on a wall. We talked about bringing your shoulder blades back and squeezing back, always squeezing back, but not just with the rhomboids. If I reach up over top of my head with my spine compressed like this, I can't reach up without extending my spine. That's what we're talking about right there, is the spinal extensor muscles. Okay, so other ways of doing the resistance, just like we did against the wall, would be putting the back of your hands against here and doing floor angels. As you're going up, lift your shoulder blades still up over top as high as you can, up. Lift the shoulder blades as high as you can when you're trying to reach over top of your head. Your body doesn't know if you're reaching for the sky or along the floor, and just push against the back. Another exercise I guess I didn't cover against the wall is if you had your hands, elbow, and shoulder in line, putting your hands against the wall or floor, and as you go up, it's going to get your spine extending. So breathe in, tuck your chin again, all the way up over top of your head.